How are you today? I hope things are well with you. I'm up here in the Northeast, and for me, I'm preparing for this cold front that we got coming through in the next week. Are you prepared for your cold or your snow that's going to be coming through? I know I was looking online and stuff. I seen, I guess, way out there to Texas and stuff, they batting down the hatches. So I went out over here today. I think today is Wednesday, and getting ready. Our snow's supposed to come through Saturday, Sunday, sometime and stuff. So just wanna say be safe. Make sure you prepare if you can. Use the necessary resources today. I was sharing with my daughter. She's Midwest, one of them, and her husband was at work, and I had thought about it, and then I forgot, and then I was like later on when I was outside working on one of the vans. I was said to her, I said, I was on the phone with her. I said, did you prepare the propane, because they have a propane fire place, and then they have the rest of the house they heat with. It's a pretty big house, so they gotta have that backup. And she was like, "Oh no, mom, good thing," So I reminded her because it's supposed to start snowing near out Midwest. I think like Friday morning sometime and stuff. So over here I got my pellets last week, and I got a ton of pellets and stuff. So I heat upstairs, downstairs with pellets. So I was ready in that aspect, but I want the vehicles to be ready and stuff. So, working on the windshield wipers. I put windshield wipers on it. I did antifreeze the other day. I did one tire on one of the vans that I got about a year ago, and one went down. Okay, it would dry rot. They were sitting on a lawn, this particular van, so I had to do some work. I'm still working on it, bringing it up. Gonna use it for the business, for the gift wrap paper that I sell. So I hope you're getting your stuff ready for you and your family as much as you can. It's tough when sometimes it's the weather and stuff like that, and a lot of people run out and buy all kind of stuff, but don't run out in fear, because things can change. God's in charge, but prepare, use wisdom. The shovels, I got the shovels, I got the ashes, because we could put down the ashes and stuff when out there doing that and stuff. So just prepare for this weather that's coming through. But one of my main reasons for coming on tonight is because there's a lot going on right now in the food system. A lot of people are sick. And how are you doing? I hope you're getting ready for the weather. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But I just want to come out and I want to share some things. Thank you. I'm into my earrings. I gotta put my earrings on. Even before I get dressed, I put my earrings on. But I wanted to share this with you. I want you to really start thinking about the food you eat. There's a lot going on in the food system. I talked to one of my daughters about 2 weeks ago, and she called me. She was in a mall. She had went out to do some errands, and she called and she's like, "Mom, I can't breathe. I can't breathe." And she had already told me that she was going through some things in her digestive system and things like that. Start trying to get away from this processed foods. Please really begin to read your packages, read your nutrition labels. So I've been literally for the past 2 to 3 weeks walking her through day by day the things she could eat. And she's going through a lot. And I never wanted my kids to get to this point, but they're not heavy either. These are just regular sized people, but they're having a lot of gas now. Thank you. I hope she feels better too, but it's going to take a while because I've had this thing with the digestion. After a while, people start saying, "Oh, I have heartburn." And talking to my other daughter, her husband's been going through that, and I try to tell them that this gas is getting stuck in your esophagus, so it's hard. With the more you eat and stuff, you don't know how to process, you don't know how to think about it. So you're eating, and now you're getting heartburn, and now the inflammation. So I just wanted to come on and share with some of you who may be going through this thing. They're in their 30s and 40s, some of them. But in the food system and the food change, they're adding a lot of additives to these foods, and it's a lot of food science going on. And people just think that, the first thing the doctors will say, your blood pressure, diabetes, this, that. One of the resources you could begin to look at, there's a documentary out, it's called What the Health. I would encourage you to take your time. I think you can go on YouTube or Netflix and check it out. It's called What the Health. For people who have diabetes, who have a lot of inflammation, if you have family members, begin to check out the foods they're eating. Please leave those processed foods alone. Please leave those energy drinks alone. A lot of this stuff, quick sales, a couple of dollars, stuff's not good for you. And people say, well, I don't want to be a vegetarian or, eat raw and stuff. But when you get to the point where you can't even swallow and you can't breathe, and she went on a quick fast, and I was like, you can't do a fast. When you're going through indigestion issues and stuff, you can't just go on a fast. You have to literally begin to breathe through the process because it makes you think that you're going to pass out. So she called me from the mall. She was like, Mom, I think I need to call an emergency. I instantly knew, because we had talked about it earlier in the day, that, okay, you went on a fast, but wait a minute. Now you're becoming anxious. So she was in the mall becoming anxious. She sat down. I told her, get something to drink. You got to replenish the body. You got to pull it together. Don't let yourself take you over, because now if you get in that ambulance and they start hooking you up to IVs and you feel like you're going to have a heart attack, that's a no-no. We don't want that. But let me walk you through what's going on. So she was getting short of breath. She hadn't eaten. The indigestion, because what happens with the gas from the stomach, it begins to back up into your esophagus. I'm not a doctor, but because I've been through this before, and a lot more people are going through this, I could walk her through it. Get her breath, sit down. The security and some other people got her something to drink, brought her back, and then after she was able to go outside, get some air, and they were able to bring her to her car. So I just want to let you know, I got off the phone with my son, and he's been sick. Inflammation, the gas. These foods that we are eating are so highly toxic that the human body cannot process the things that are going on in the digestive system. If you're a person who eats a lot of fast food or eats fast, swallows fast, so much gas is going down into the stomach that those gases begin to come back up. Now that gas has to subside, but then how do you help it to subside when you're taking all of these Tums and this and that? The body can't process all of that fast enough. It's going to take slow amounts of water, slow amounts of chewing, and rest. You're going to have to let your system digest. I'm not a doctor, but like I said, I've been through this before. And a lot more people in the 30s and 40s are beginning to feel the inflammation, the achingness is coming from the foods we're eating. Processed foods, fast foods. They're doing so much in the economy to get more food out quicker and quicker. Not from the raw. I bought grapes the other day from Aldi's. They weren't even ripe. They're just a quick turnover to get the money, but it's not healthy. Please begin to really think about the foods that you're eating, your timing, how long it takes you to eat. If you go into a lot of fast foods, especially back when I was coming through in the 70s, 80s, you had literally 15 minutes to eat, and then they were ready for the table for somebody else. Well, the thing is, your body can't process food that quick. Your body can only process according to what the stomach can receive, the gases that are in your esophagus and your stomach, and it's creating a problem for people. Now, then you go to the doctor and they send you to a GI doctor. That's the gastro doctor. They're sending people to the diabetes specialist. You can reverse diabetes. Don't let anybody tell you you can't. There's a lot of people on diabetes. If you go plant-based for a season, like I said, check out that documentary, What the Health. Diabetes can be reversed. And then the chemicals and stuff. You got a lot of aluminum in these foods. You got aluminum in the white salt, the salt that people are eating at the table. Not Himalayan salt. That's more of a natural salt. But the processed salts that's in the potato chips, in the potatoes, in the fast food, those salts are so modified, so processed, that majority of the salt is anti-caking agents and chemicals, the way they process and they clean the salts. Again, people are starting to go sea salt. You have to check the sea salt, because once the economy and the manufacturers find out that they can't get enough of the supply fast enough, they will begin to substitute it with chemicals. I would rather prefer you try to take and cook things from scratch, cut your own potatoes, fry them for your family, fry them for your kids, mash. And you might say, well, Miss Fern, I don't have time to do all of that. You have to make time, because if you have time to go to the doctors, which I don't want most of you, I worked in the hospital 17 years, that's a whole nother thing when it comes to going to the hospitals. Begin to think about the foods you cook and how you cook them. I know people are used to the deep frying. The deep frying, when you have that gastro thing going on in your esophagus, you cannot eat fried food. You can barely eat. My daughter, cause she just is in so much pain right now, because what eating fast, swallowing fast produced a hernia. It's going to take a while. She went to see a naturopathic doctor, and now she's going through the natural way of the healing, the processing. The Word of God says in His Word that I've given you bread for the healing of the nations. You got to go back to the scripture. You got to go back to plant-based. You got to go back to the way God described it. And I never ever thought that I could actually eat things from the raw. I used to watch my mom, and then I was like, she was always in the health food stores, always researching. When it came to her blood pressure, she was on it. And I saw her going all the time. Now I'm in a natural food store. Where I live at, we have a really nice one. And so you could get a lot of natural herbs. I chop my own foods. I eat raw. My daughter came and she was like, "Ma, go in the refrigerator." I started throwing away all the vegetables. I don't buy a lot of them, but the majority of my refrigerator is 80% plant-based, because I cannot eat. My system will no longer take and be able to eat those processed foods, because I ate it for so many years. You're talking about 50, 55 years? I'm 63. Years of eating processed foods, fast foods, the McDonald's, the hamburger helpers, the quick spaghettis. You got to watch the spaghetti sauce. It has a lot of sugar in it. I remember when my mom and my aunts and the women in the neighborhood used to do that long spaghetti sauce, where the spaghetti sauce will cook all day. You have to get back to taking and eating, cooking your own food. Your kids, please, get these kids away from these processed snacks. They are no good for your kids. They are no good for you. They use all kind of chemical additives, all kind of mushes, all kind of processing. Do your own research. Go on Google, go online. Look at some of the ways that they process food. And when you see what they do to food, you really wouldn't want to eat it, because you don't know what's in it. Ketchup. Ketchup has a lot of high fructose corn syrups. Those energy drinks. If you're going to make an energy drink, make it from the raw. Make your own. I went out today, or was it today or yesterday, and I got unsweetened cranberry juice. No sugar. Never thought I'd be drinking some cranberry juice with no sugar in it. But you will adapt. If you want to stay healthy, stay out of the doctor's offices, because did you know that doctors actually really do not take nutrition classes? Did you know that? When I went about 4 or 5 years ago, I went to a free clinic, and I was talking to some of the interns. Like I said, I worked in a hospital on a patient care unit for over 17 years, and I was having a conversation with some of the students, and they were like, I was able to tell them a lot of what I was going through, because I was self-diagnosed and didn't go. And sure enough, what I was saying, and they were talking about, and they didn't know half of the stuff that I was talking about. And so what I was finding out is that there was a point of time that in the medical profession in school, they're not required to take nutrition classes. And here recently, one of the interns, the APRNs, told me that they depend on the nutritionists for taking these nutrition classes. And I know when they used to do rounds when I was working in the hospital, that the people who do rounds is you have your interns, you have your residents, you have one attending or maybe two attendings, depending on the discipline. You have a pharmacist assistant, and then you have a social worker and a care coordinator on morning rounds. So all of these people are on rounds with white coats. You don't know who's who. Like I said, 17 years of watching this, and then you try to figure out, but you don't take nutrition classes, so they depend on the pharmacist and the nutritionist to go through your diet with you. That's why your doctor will tell you, well, I'll send you to see the nutritionist. You don't know anything about the food? You're prescribing these medicines, but you don't know anything about the food and what the food does really to the body. They don't. You have to become educated to take and really think about your health and what it's doing to you. So like I said, in the past 3 weeks, I've been with my daughter, my middle daughter. Now tonight, I find out with my son that he's going through the same thing, the backing up of the gas, the inflammation, your joints are aching, and he was a Division I athlete. He's been an athlete all his life. From every season, we had a sport with him. And now he's talking about his body. What is going on in our food system? Please take the time to just stop eating, rushing out the door, rushing here, fast food. There's a whole nother thing behind that. And I was like, God, you know what? I'm like, when you talk about an adversary, we got to check what's going on in our food system, y'all. So just be wise. Find out your parents, they might be on some meds. Found out about my mom being on meds when she was going through, she was sick, because some of these meds counteract what the med is for or counteract something else. So begin to become knowledgeable about your health for yourself and for your family and for your loved ones. And for anyone you know around who's going through a lot of digestive issues, don't just keep popping the Tums. Find out what's going on, because there's a flap that's over top of the esophagus. And if that gas cannot take and go down, it will begin to bubble back up, and it can't get back up through the esophagus. And then now you're in a problem because the esophagus can burn and the gas can't get out. And now you're taking every kind of Tums and this and that. But there is a medicine. It's similar to Nexum, but if you go to the doctor, they have a higher dose that they have to put you on for a while in order for you to take and begin to get this gas out. And I told my daughter, sharing with my son, drink small amounts of water, breathe, because you have to begin to let that gas take and subside in your stomach, through your esophagus, through even the rectum, through passing gas, to take and settle your stomach. Stop rush eating. Sit down at the kitchen table. Sit down at a counter at the park and really begin to take your time to eat. Don't rush eat, because your system can't take it. God didn't design us to eat in 15 minutes and it's done. So I'm coming on to share this with you tonight. Please share it with your family and your friends. There's a lot going on in the food system. Be careful what you buy. Make sure you're reading the directions. If you don't know, Google it. There's all kind of charts that's on the food. Watch your sodium, because a lot of people need this information, especially your loved ones. And you can reverse a lot of the problems that people are going through a healthy raw food diet for a season, or just cooking at home. But definitely get away from the fried foods, the bad oils, the high fructose corn syrup, and begin to just drink water. And there's so much going on with the waters. You got to pray. And now, every time I'm looking around, I'm like, now I know why God told us to pray. Pray over your food. Pray over this. Pray over that. You have to have the power of prayer to combat the enemy's attack against you and your body and your family. But yet, this is Fern from FML Diversified. I'm glad you tuned in. I'm going to be talking about this even more because you need knowledge. The Word of God says, my people perish for a lack of knowledge. Don't be afraid to get the knowledge. You can handle it. You may not understand it. If you have to stop people and say, excuse me, but can you explain that to me? Go ahead. I do. I do all the time now. Because if you're talking over my head, that's not going to help me. But if you break it down and help me understand it, we can work together. We really can work together. So be encouraged. Have a great night, and I'll be coming back talking with you more about what's going on in people's bodies so you can get healed, get better, and get back to the norm of doing things without always popping these antacids. Be encouraged. Have a great night. Talk with you later. Bye-bye.